Hello and welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast, celebrating a vibrant global community of women over 50 through entertaining interviews that will inspire, educate, and empower. Your host, Joanne Neweduk, was born to nurture and promote vibrance. Joanne is both the Community Director for Calgary, Canada, and oversees the global operations for Fabulous at 50. As an oncology nurse, integrative practitioner in multiple modalities, life skills mentor, and manager, Joanne moves people from challenging situations to positive outcomes through the use of her innate gifts and learned skills. Here's your host, Joanne Neweduk. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm here with my dear friend, an incredible woman, Michelle Post. And I'm going to start off by sharing a little bit about her that's written on let's even advertise the page here, page 58 of Saved by Nutrition. Michelle is a published author with her first book called No Sweat, A Woman's Guide to Glorious Holistic Menopause. She is also part of the great collaborative Reach Your Greatness with James Malinchak. Michelle is the owner of Holistic Now Nutrition, Inc., featuring the great Metabolic Balance, and has researched thousands of articles on nutrition and its effects on the body and its systems. She has worked with numerous women in their change of life to enhance their energy, systems, hormones, and successful weight release. As a director of the Women Talk Calgary South, Michelle helps women to share their stories to create a unique tribe of positivity and support. She is also an avid belly dancer, sharing her gift of dance and self-care. And when you pick up the book, you'll see the plethora of all these credentials you have on nutrition and coaching and mindset. And it just goes on and on. So welcome, Michelle. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and see you as always.
Yes, we do have fun together.
Don't we?
We do have fun together. Now, all this wonderful stuff about Saved by Nutrition and all the health and everything you're doing, we are going to get into in this podcast. But I want to start off first and foremost in asking you one of my favorite questions. How did you celebrate 50? Because I hear that might have happened fairly recently.
Well, you were there. So
yeah. Okay. I have a little bit of an inside scoop there.
It was so funny because with where the world is at right now in lockdown, of course, I had already had planned this big extravagant party because I really wanted to welcome my golden year. Everything turned gold. So as you saw with the photo in the book there, my dark hair has now turned golden, because that's what everything is now for me. Like I'm just doing the big makeover. Everything's gold now. I'm even wearing earrings that are gold,
and they're gorgeous. You look incredible.
Thanks, babe. It's fun to actually get those comments and compliments. So for the actual 50th, because I couldn't have this big party, I spent all my money on my hair. Because that can be expensive these days, right? So
absolutely.
But I had some incredible friends that we did get to do a social distancing party back in June and have some fun and eat off the menu and just have a great time. I think like what we thought was going to be 1 to 2 hours turned into like 8 hours.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. We had such a great time together, and I'm absolutely love that. And since I couldn't have the big party, I was just going to make it the full summer of 50. So everything
Fantastic.
everything I did was all celebrating my age, who I am. It's really funny because I've had so many women over the past few years who have turned 50 from different other clubs saying, don't tell people how old you are. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm here and I'm representing, so of course I'm going to tell people.
You represent 50 incredibly. Like I was blown away when you're going, I'm turning 50 this year. And I'm like, excuse me? I thought you were my young friend.
Right? Yeah, like, oh, I am,
Yes, true.
maturity wide, but
Oh, so what does it mean to you? What have you seen different? What do you own differently in your whole being or your presence, like from where you used to be to now? What does turning 50 mean to you?
there was a distinct personality factor that changed 2 months before I actually did turn 50. And it was
Okay.
very interesting because I noticed almost immediately, whereas where things used to embarrass me or I would feel shame, like, as a teenager, something accidentally pops out. It's like, oh my God, people are going to know me for this forever. And, there's guilt and there's shame and all kinds of stuff. And yet, 2 months before 50, I was walking, I had an itchy part that I decided to scratch publicly. And you know what? I suddenly didn't care, you know?
This is a common trend, Michelle. I have to say, so many women say that when they get into their 50s, into what they call midlife, they just don't care. And it doesn't mean, in a sense, they don't care, but I just find there's this general trend of dropping the self-consciousness, dropping what you said, the shame and the embarrassment that have hold you back from
Yeah.
truly just sharing yourself authentically. And if I know anything about you, you are one of the most authentic people I know.
Thank you very much. I have no inner monologue. I have tact, thank God. You know, but I have no inner monologue.
Oh my
So what
gosh,
is in my head does come out. So
it does.
I do filter it with all the positivity I possibly can put in there.
And you are so positive. Now, before we go further, I did introduce you and I shared a whole bunch of your wonderful things about you. But I would love if you could tell the listening audience right now, if somebody wants to reach out to you, if someone's going, oh my gosh, I have to know that woman, can you please share what's the best way to reach you?
Thank you very much. So you can reach me at Michelle at making-strides.ca. That's MICHELLE ampersand making MAKING hyphen or dash strides STRIDES.ca. So that's my email address. Or you can actually call my business line at 403-266-2867. And I definitely love talking to people about how they want to move themselves forward. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Excellent. And you actually, I'm going to interject right here. You help me move forward. Of course, I run this organization, Fabulous at 50, and you can see the poster behind me right now
Yeah.
announcing Fabulous at 50 Calgary, because that's where I stepped into the world
Yes.
of creating Fabulous to be the community director for this particular city. And you very wonderfully came on board as one of the exhibitors at the trade show that we put on. And that's why I said the no sweat. That was your big
Yep.
focus, helping women transition through menopause. But not only do you do that, you inspired me. I stepped up and said, okay, I should know more of this. And
Yes.
I'm struggling with stuff that I think I know how to correct. I had lots of tools, but there was a little missing link. And you introduced me to Metabolic Balance,
Yes.
and I'll share that it has helped me lose over 20 pounds. I'm,
Woo.
yeah, and I'm in a maintenance phase right now,
Yep.
and with the desire to go back on the intentional weight loss
Yep.
phase. So I
Yep.
love that we can it's a tool for whatever phase I want to be in. And now I'm bringing that in conjunction. Like, I get to be your colleague in that I also work with women in menopause and helping bring that nutrition. And you're such a great resource. So I'd love you to share a bit more about how and why, like you were already a nutritionist and you already knew lots. What made you choose to also bring in metabolic balance?
Metabolic balance was one of the only ones that actually worked for me. So some of us have different metabolisms, different ways that we actually deal with nutrients. In my specific situation, especially when we hit this age of 50 or before, even the 10 years before, we start putting on the weight. And what I know from the whole infertility journey that I had gone on as well, is women are even suffering with these menopausal issues even in their mid 20s
Mm,
because of the food system. So there's so much endocrine disruptors out there. There's so much out there that actually hinders a woman's ability to be able to handle and tolerate excess estrogen, lack of
mhm.
progesterone, and there's so many fertility issues that are out there. So that's where my journey actually started, was at a geriatric age, starting to still trying to have children, and also suffering at actually 38 years old with magnificent menopausal symptoms.
Mm.
I was waking up with this much sweat in the bed between my husband and I, insomnia, acne. Acne
Look
was
at how beautiful
galore.
your skin is now.
It's all food. I actually use food. I use actual edible foods on my skin in order to make sure that it stays as youthful as possible. It's really quite funky. So getting into the whole, what I noticed is that when I actually did all my fertility and helped with my reproduction, which is really, that's what you want to do. That's where everything lies, right? Is your reproduction is going down. When I helped that, all of those menopausal symptoms had gone away. Like everything. I was able to sleep at nighttime, the acne, because I was using food and proper nutrition. I was drinking the right amount of water for
Here we go.
myself.
Time
Right?
for a little hydration break right now.
Taking out all the things that actually stopped me. Like I had the trajectory. I could have aged pretty badly, if I would have followed suit with how some members of my family had taken care of themselves, but I didn't want to do that. So I had noticed that not only did my reproduction increase 300% in a 6-month period, that all these symptoms had also gone away. And because people ask me about it all the time, even now, I was in my early 40s, people are asking me all the time, like, how did you do it? How did you do it? Because they're going through nasty stuff, even starting at 40, like just nasty.
Yeah.
So I decided to write the book and figure, like, if you want to learn more, how to do it really holistically.
Can you hold that up again? I don't want to interrupt you there, but hold it up and just tilt it forward a little bit. There we go. Where can somebody find that book called No Sweat, Holistic Menopause?
You can actually go to www.nosweatmenopause.ca, and it's on my website exactly as that.
Awesome. And then you followed it up by the Save My Nutrition. Now, I want to hear more of your stories, and I want to hear a little bit about the woman behind all this. Like, this is wonderful. This is what you're doing in your business, but I want to hear a little bit more about Michelle. And I think I mentioned something about some belly dancing and just, what got your groove on. But we're going to take a little pause for like 30 seconds and we'll be right back.
So, all I want to know is, where did this life preserver around my middle come from? As a woman in my 50s, suddenly I realized that instead of preserving my life, it's adding more stress. My clothes don't fit, lack of sleep, the hot flashes. I mean, I'm still hot, but it's coming in flashes. The cravings, wanting to relax but failing miserably, low libido, thinking, what did I come in here for? And other memory issues. And how do I get that itty-bitty pity committee to be quiet in my brain? If you are identifying with any of these comments and you would rather have vibrant and amazingly fabulous well-being, it's possible. I'm now enjoying the reset, rebalance, and rejuvenation of my health, and you can too. Contact Joanne Neweduk at fabuloushealth.ca, a facet of the Fabulous at 50 community.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's podcast. I have my special guest, Michelle Post, here. And just before the break, we were having a conversation about how and why she introduced metabolic balance into her health journey, specifically related around how she was coping with menopause. And can you keep that conversation going?
Absolutely. Thank you. So along with the fertility journey, I had gained a schwack load of weight. So all my menopausal symptoms were gone, but the weight came on, of course, because of all the hormonal injections and all that kind of stuff. And it was not going away. And I was still very exhausted with the imbalance of hormones. And so I even had a personal trainer. I have a gym downstairs. I was already a holistic nutritional consultant. I was doing everything that was right. I had my education and I still couldn't lose a pound. So I was very fortunately introduced to metabolic balance, which is a lifestyle change, as well as, of course, it being so prestigious because it does work with a doctor's blood requisition. So I can do everything through the guessing game, knowing what I know for symptomology, but this goes right down to here's your blood work, this is what you need. Versus, let's just test this one for a month and see if it works for you or not. So when I did that one and I changed my lifestyle up, I had actually gone from 190 pounds back down to 150 pounds in about a 5.5 month period.
That's phenomenal.
It was incredible for me because I also had the whole idea that couldn't happen for me anymore. I mean, I was already a holistic nutrition consultant. I already had a gym. Like, I did all this, I did everything right. And this actually changed things even for the better, that it did rebalance my hormones even more so than what it was.
Yeah.
So
I love when you were saying that you had this belief that it couldn't happen for you. So, you know, you might want to talk a little bit more about how it's not just the actual, I mean, the nutrition and what you're doing, but for you to even take that leap of, okay, I'm going to try eating in a different way. I thought I knew what I knew, but that you had to have a mind shift.
Yep. The mind shift was massive. Going through the infertility journey actually took away all my femininity. For any of you women out there who've had kids and you've often said that my body is not my own, just because I actually didn't have kids doesn't mean I haven't gone through that. You know, 3.5 years at the clinic, anytime they invited me in to get an ultrasound done, I got used to just throwing my pants off. You know, I'd go to the dentist now and they say, we need to take an x-ray, and my pants would come off. And they're like, no, Michelle, it's in your mouth. It's not there. So, oh, right. You know, so my body was no longer my own. So I had lost all my femininity. I had lost what I wanted to see myself looking like. With the weight gain, it was just absolutely awful. That is when I introduced belly dance. I had heard somebody say that you have to love yourself first, then the weight will follow. And that makes perfect sense, because if you don't love yourself first and who you are as a person, no matter what your goal that you reach is, it's never going to be good enough. So you have to understand how good you already are. So when I took up belly dancing, it was the very first class that I went to where I was shaking my groove thing with the coins on my butt, and it's all going all over the place. And I'm allowed to actually jiggle my butt. They're supposed to do this, you know, versus this. Like, so it's a very feminine dance. We have curves, we have excess weight for a reason. And so that's why I just, as soon as I did that first class, I'm like, I'm in love, and I'm in love with my body. And it took me a full year to accept the roles. And actually, I used those excess roles that I had to know I was doing a move right, because I could actually see my stomach pulling in and going out. So it was like, yeah, okay, the excess weight is awesome, which gave me the faith. Right?
I love that.
So it gave me the faith to know to keep trying to get to the place where I actually wanted to see myself and my body look like. And then when I found MB, they could match, and they did. And I am so grateful for all of that and recapturing my femininity, you know, and moving forward in life at whatever age I am, that will not change. I will always be able to dance. I will always have my femininity with me.
I love that. And I have seen you, and I have been at events, and I'm going to share a story, and you can tell me afterwards if I can. And it was one, you know, it's an event where you're sitting in chairs and you're listening to speakers, but I love that in between, when it was lunch hour and break time, they'd play music and they'd get us dancing. And at one point they invited people on the stage. And not everyone could fit, but you were up there and you were doing your belly dancing, and your husband, Lenny, who is your great, I can't remember how many years you've been married now, but like he was drooling. He's standing in the, like, just kind of going, oh, that's my beautiful wife up there. And that just warmed my heart, because the two of you, this is a whole nother conversation. Yeah. On the relationship that the two of you have, you know, and how open you are about when you have a struggle, and how you overcome it, and then how, you know, you support each other so unconditionally, and be willing to call each other on that. But I want to just touch base briefly on, I loved how you mentioned that you regained your femininity by finding this dance. Yeah. And that you really understood it was about loving yourself. And I take a very similar approach with anyone I'm working with. Is I didn't engage in activity and exercise and metabolic balance because I hated myself, because I hated my body. It doesn't mean I love every role on it, but I got to the point where I loved myself enough that I chose to do what it needed to have care. It's like whether you're taking care of your car or your house, you have to love it to care for it. It doesn't mean you love every aspect of it. It means that you love it enough to support it and care for it. And then you get, when you start appreciating every little aspect. I love that you said you use those extra rolls to do your movement rolls, right? So it's such a wonderful way of bringing that full circle. And I have to say, you are actually looking, I don't want to say the word younger, because I really appreciate our age, but I have to say that in the years that I've known you, I actually see you right now today as looking more youthful. Your vibrancy and your energy and how you present yourself and how you just share with the world. I feel that there's just a more youthful energy there.
Thank you very much. That was
You're
also
welcome.
a transition, is not having that fear or that shame or that guilt from who I previously was to now being like, hey, we all went through crap growing up. Like we all did something. Mine was this journey, and I lived with these people, and now it's like, I'm dropping that baggage. I'm not willing to carry that because my whole mindset has shifted.
Beautiful. You do
Yeah.
a lot on the mind shift. So on that, I know you have some tips for us. So before we sign off today, I would really love it if you could share 3 tips on what supported you in creating fabulous in your life and ongoingly supports you.
Awesome. This is always going to be how I see my life, and my health is number one. And so health just doesn't mean just food. Food and nutrition is a massive part of it. I had to deal with ill health when I just turned 20 years old. So it's always been part of my trajectory. I was not going to allow myself to go down the road that the doctors had told me to. So always looking for ways and continuing to always take care of my health, number one. I can't be good to anyone else unless I'm good to me first. The whole thing about love and relationships is that you have enough love for yourself that it boils over, that you can share it with others, not expecting someone else to come in and fill your cup. So when it comes to that, when it comes to nutrition, water, number one, absolutely number one. Making sure you're getting depending on your size, 2, 3, or sometimes even 4 liters of water per day, depending on who you are and what your needs are, and your activity level, where you live, all that kind of stuff. So nutrition is super, super important. Making sure that I'm not eating foods that actually are, aging me. I still do. Let's be realistic. I do actually love to eat foods that are not on the menu, often enough. However, those are exceptions and no longer the rule. Super important. My lifestyle, I visualize it and I see it every single day. And it really does have to do with the proper nutrition and making sure that I exercise and I stay active. The last thing I want to be is I'm sort of like my trajectory of, on my mother's side there, where at 69 years old, she's in a nursing home because she doesn't care to actually even walk. She can, she just chooses not to. I do not want to see that trajectory for myself or anything like that. It can be done. We can change our trajectory. So lifestyle, how does that vision for you? What do you want out of your life? I'm reading an amazing book called Man's Search for Meaning. Okay. And it is a phenomenal book. And it's not just the pursuit of, it is phenomenal. It's not just pursuit for happiness for human beings, it's pursuit for meaning. So we have struggles for a purpose and a reason. So really that is just massive. So how do you want to see yourself? That's all part of lifestyle. And of course, in the same instance, mindset. So I'm working right now using a system called the subconscious release technique, and with my dear darling husband of 13 married years. Just answer that question. Yeah, right. Yeah. And so we've just started our own Boost Your Mindset Academy, which we just launched the website yesterday. And it really helps to release inner subconscious thought programs that we have that are actually playing out. So one of the biggest things I think for women at our age is to work on releasing past torments. Just absolutely release them and get rid of them. One of the things we learned during the whole nutrition was that at the age of 40 is when most people take stock of their lives. And if they get to 40 as an angry person, you have a choice. And that's when most people make this choice to either move it to the trajectory of actually being a happy older person or staying the course and being miserable. And that's why you see the differences between those, grumpy old people and those not so grumpy old people. So.
Absolutely. So to summarize though, your biggest tips is focus on your nutrition and water intake.
Yeah.
Take a look and take stock of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
and examine your mindset. And no, I think the best message, and we're so parallel on this, of course, because I weave in all the mindset with my stuff, different modalities, which is cool. And you and I have talked about, we want to do a little bit of a swap so we can get a better understanding of them. So
absolutely,
we will do that and
absolutely
perhaps continue it on. But the mindset is, I think the biggest message I heard you say is, it's not just where our mindset is, it's knowing that once we take stock of it, if it's not where we want it, there are many tools out there, including, say the one you do again.
Subconscious release technique. So SRT.
Yeah. So SRT, belief reparenting, there's reframing, there's lots of different ways out there that you can make a difference in your mindset. And then you reach out to, whether you're doing it on yourself, reading a book, doing a workshop, or reaching out to someone like the lovely, the energetic, vibrant, fabulous Michelle Post.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
So
I accept that with gratitude.
Yeah, on that note, Michelle, really appreciate you being here today. Tell us one more time your business phone number if someone wants to reach out to you.
Absolutely. You can reach me at michelle@making-strides.ca, or you can call 403-266-2867, and we can book some time to chat.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, I'm so looking forward to seeing you in person again. Excuse me. I know that for the most part, we've been connecting on Zoom calls, which still is a beautiful connection. And I so appreciate everyone that's listening here today, whether you're listening on one of our podcast platforms or you're watching us on YouTube. So take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. You've been listening to the Fabulous at 50 podcast with your host, Joanne Neweduk. Join us again for more inspirational interviews on topics that matter to you. If you like what you've heard on today's episode, check out the liner notes, or to learn more about this vibrant community that celebrates women over 50, please visit fabulousat50.com. That's www.fabulousat50.com.